Hello and welcome. Today I want to discuss with you guys a feeling that I think that many of us have had at one point or another. I know I've certainly felt this way on many occasions. And this is the feeling of being like a fake, being a fraud, one of not being good enough, feeling like you have to be perfect or you have to be the best, okay? This is referred to as imposter syndrome. And actually 70% of people are shown to have experienced this feeling at one point or another throughout their life. Imposter syndrome is a feeling that the world is going to find you out. It's a feeling that our achievements are undeserved despite the hard work and success behind them. The feeling of being an imposter was described in one article that I read as being a combination of fear, anxiety, and limiting beliefs all rolled up into one ugly monster. Sounds really terrible, right? So this happens to a lot of successful people, such as attorneys, doctors, CEOs, wondering how the heck did I get to the position that I'm in and how am I even qualified to help these people? But what I really found interesting was that 2 in 3 women suffer from this imposter syndrome. And really it makes a lot of sense, right? With the pressure that we have put on us from society, it's really just no wonder that we feel this way on a regular basis. We're expected to be this perfect image of a woman, take care of our bodies and stay sexy no matter what. I'm not saying that being healthy isn't important, but the image of perfection is not the important thing. And right now I see a lot of things in media putting out what this idea of perfectionism is, this perfect body, this sexy body, and that's what we look at. That's what our daughters are looking at, to see, what are they supposed to look like? But we need to start changing that. We, as women, we're expected to take care of everyone else in our lives. And if we do something for ourselves, we're also often viewed as being selfish, which is crazy to me. This is why so many of us are scared to go after what we want. We're scared to go after our dreams because people look at us and judge us and tell us that we're being selfish. We should be worried about our families. A lot of people, society puts our worth based on the happiness of our kids or our spouse, right? And again, no wonder why we feel like imposters. These are just impossible standards to reach. We're scared that we aren't the one woman that isn't good enough, right? Well, I'm here to tell you that every woman watching this has felt like that in one way or another. So you are not alone. We continue to just kind of fake it till we make it, and we suppress our feelings, and it just really gets us nowhere. So like I said, I've struggled with this several times throughout my life as a mother, as a wife, throughout my career, and throughout my journey as an entrepreneur. I became a mom at 19. So I had no idea what I was doing, and I still don't have any idea what I'm doing most days. But during that time when my daughter was an infant, I would constantly ask myself, what am I doing? Like, I can't do this. I'm crazy. But now I hear people all the time tell me how great Kaylee is and how she turned out to be such a good girl and she's respectful and all these things. And I still don't feel like I'm worthy of those compliments. I felt this imposter syndrome a lot when I was married, because my ex-husband was constantly comparing me to other people, constantly telling me I wasn't measuring up to this girl or that girl or his mom or, whoever the case may be. And I built up this huge insecurity around just not being good enough because I was constantly being told that everything I did wasn't good enough. With my career, I went to school to be a paralegal. And what nobody tells you when you're in school to be a paralegal is that experience is priceless. Every job that I had applied to wanted somebody that had been in the paralegal realm for, 3, 4, 5 years. Well, I had a 6-month internship under my belt, but that was really it. I eventually was able to find a job in Philly. I was extremely grateful for that. I live in Delaware, so it was like an hour and a half drive every day with the traffic, but I didn't care because I finally had found a job and I was going for it. They started me out in the title review department, which was very similar to what I was doing in my internship, so I still felt pretty comfortable. Within like 2 months, they moved me up to another department, which was called the deed in lieu department, which is where we help people who, instead of going into foreclosure, they were just deeding their properties to the bank. When I first started, I was told that the people in that deed in lieu team were, the higher ups of our department. So when I got moved to this department, this position, I was like, why me? But okay, and I did it. Within 6 months of that, they moved me yet to another team, and I was on the sales team. And the sales team was where all the experienced people were. This is where all the women who had, were twice my age and had been there, for 10, 12 years, they were on this team. And little did I know, the management, the managing attorney's plan was to make me the team leader of that team. So I had absolutely no faith in myself. I had no idea what I was doing. They put me in this leadership role and I was like, what the heck? I can't do this. I'm not worthy of this. I'm not ready for this. I was scared. I was unsure of my abilities. I was not confident at all. And I was just completely intimidated by the whole thing. And I just kept telling myself, why are they having me do this? Why are they having me do this? And I would go in there every day and I'd bust my butt and, I did what I needed to do and I tried to learn as best I could what the job was. And I excelled at it. Now looking back, being in a place where I'm much more in tune with who I am, I'm much more in tune with, what's important in my life. I'm able to look back on those times and realize that I actually earned that spot. I worked my butt off. I am a natural leader. I was great at what I did. So I earned it. I should have been there. I should have been doing what I was doing. But at the time, I had this whole imposter syndrome over me that was basically telling me that I wasn't good enough, that I was a fraud, that I didn't know what I was doing. Now, currently, as an entrepreneur and throughout my life coaching, my life and wellness coaching business, I've told myself several times, like, what are you thinking? Who are you to think that you can help these women? Like, who are you? What are you thinking? Like, you're just an average Joe, you're nothing special. But through a lot of self-reflection, a lot of personal development, I realized that I am special and that I do have a ton to offer because I have been through a lot in my 31 years. This is my calling, and I just have so much to offer and so much to give that I have found my confidence in myself and in this position. Right? And that's really ideally where you want to get, but it took me a long time to get here. I was working in Philly about 2012, 2013, 2014. So you can see it took me 4 or 5 years to get over this hump, this imposter syndrome that I was feeling, to really get comfortable in my skin and feel confident. It took a lot of hard work. Now, I do believe that most of you guys watching this can relate with this 100%, because I'm sure at one point or another, whether it was with your career, with your spouse, with your kids, whatever, you felt like you were a fraud. You felt like you weren't good enough, like you didn't have what it takes to do and to complete the task that was put in front of you. So I want to share with you 5 different ways that you can start breaking these walls down, that you can start embracing all of the beautiful things that you are, so that you can become fully confident in whatever it is that you want to do, whatever is going on in your life. Okay? So, number 1, be aware. Okay? This is the most important step, and not just the most important step in getting over imposter syndrome, but becoming aware is really the first and most important step in really any type of change in your life. Because without being aware of what's going on, how can you change, right? And it really is often the most difficult step too, because this requires you to be completely honest with yourself and call yourself out on your shit. And people don't want to do that. You know, it's hard to do that. It's very hard to do that. So here's the deal though. I've just identified and made you aware of this thing. You probably have been having these feelings for a very long time now and haven't been able to put your finger exactly on what it was called. But now I have given you that information. So now you are aware of what it is. So your next step is to start figuring out why you feel that way. Okay? So you're aware, and I want you to figure out why. That way you can really start working past it. Okay? The number 2 step is that you have to change your view of failure to one of opportunity. A lot of people that suffer with imposter syndrome, it really just comes from a place, an ingrained fear of failure. When we have a self-doubt combined with a fear of failure, this is going to cripple anyone, right? Think about it. If you don't believe you're capable and you're scared to fail, why would you even try? Right? You're not going to, because you don't believe in yourself. And therefore, you're never going to be able to prove to yourself that you have the abilities already inside of you. You already have that strength inside of you need to succeed. But with this fear of failure holding you back, you're never going to try. You're never going to go for it. I want you guys to start shifting how you think about failure. Failure is an opportunity to learn, to gain insight into something that you obviously did not have insight in before. This is your chance to grow and to expand, all right? I really want you guys to start shifting how you look at failure. The more you look at it as something big and scary and, something that you don't want to happen, the less you are going to get out of your comfort zone, the less you are going to make those changes in your life that you want to make, because you're scared of them. You're scared of failing. Okay? Failure is a part of success. You cannot succeed without failing, because you have to take those steps. You have to learn how to work your way up, and you're not going to do that without failing. Okay? So change your view of failure to one of opportunity. Okay? One of learning. All right. And that's really going to help you in starting to get past all of these imposter syndrome feelings that you have. So the number 3 step that I want you guys to start doing is to learn to accept a compliment. Okay. A lot of people with imposter syndrome struggle to take compliments because they truly, deep down to their core, believe that the compliment is not true. Someone with imposter syndrome doesn't believe that they've earned that success that they've received. So taking a compliment about it is just next to impossible, right? You might say things like, "Oh, no, not me," or no, you're wrong. And people might take this as you being modest, but truly you are just discrediting the compliment because you don't believe it and you don't believe that you deserve it. So, starting right now, this minute that you are watching this video, anytime that you get a compliment from now on, I want you to simply say thank you. I want you to accept the compliment with open arms. Whether it involves your success or not, every single compliment, I want you to just say thank you and mean it. Say it genuinely, okay? Mean it from your heart. Because not only is that going to go a far way with that person that's giving you that compliment, it's going to make them feel better. It's going to make you feel better too. All right. So number 4 is that you have to stop comparing yourself to other people. Now, this is probably the most difficult step. I totally get it. I am guilty of comparing myself to other people in my past. I do it all the time. It's hard. You see somebody, You know, you might go to the beach and see that beautiful girl in that perfect bikini. She's got the perfect tan. You're like, oh, why can't that be me? Well, it's not you because it's not you. You weren't built that way. Okay. I used to be involved in pageants. And during that time, actually, let me back up a little bit. Let me say this. During high school, and actually before I had my daughter, I was more unhealthy and heavier in weight than I am now. I'm aging like fine wine, I will tell you that. But during this time, during my, heavier phase is when I was competing in these pageants. And I started to get into the pageants because I twirled baton, and one of my coaches was a former Miss Delaware, and she told me, hey, you should do this. This is awesome. And while I will say that pageantry definitely changed my life, it taught me how to be a better interviewer. It taught me how to speak in front of people. It helped me fine tune my talent. It taught me the importance of becoming aware of current events and things of that nature. It was also a constant battle with my self-esteem, because when you watch the Miss America pageant, these girls all fit that perfect, image that the media puts out of what beauty is. They're all that size 0, size 2, you can see the abs and all that. I was never that girl during this time. Almost every pageant I competed in, I was the only girl that wore a one piece. I loved my gowns for my evening wear, but I never felt confident in them because I was constantly comparing myself to the other girls. I was constantly comparing myself to what they looked like and how much better they looked, at least in my opinion, than I did. I was completely unaware of being able to see the fact that I looked absolutely stunning in my gown. And that showed when I went out on stage, because I didn't exert that confidence. I didn't exert, what they were looking for for that title, which is why I never won. I was so in my head with how everybody else looked and what everybody else was doing that I was just not even able to concentrate on my own thing, on myself, and see that what I had to offer was something unique and something special, and that I could have been a great Miss Delaware too. But I didn't see that at that time. I felt like I was an imposter. Like, why am I up here? I have no business being up here. I'm not like any of these other girls. This is crazy. And you could see that when you looked at me, you could see that. So you got that vibe. And like I said, that's why I never won. I truly believe that. But I mean, not only with that, we're taught from a young age that we have to be perfect, right? And when we see these other people that are perfect, it's just natural to compare ourselves to them. Okay, this is starting that negative talk. This is starting that downward spiral to a lack of confidence and a lack of self-esteem. You have to stop doing this. Okay, once I stopped comparing myself to people, I became the most confident person in the room. I don't care what anybody thinks. I will go out and do my thing. I will dance around, jump around, whatever, make a fool of myself. I don't care what people think about me. I don't compare myself to those people. I compare myself to me. And I go by how I feel. Okay? Each and every person is unique in their own way. There really is no comparison. And when you are constantly comparing yourself, you're tearing down your identity. You're tearing down your uniqueness. And you're just breeding insecurities inside of you. And eventually these insecurities are just going to overflow. And you're going to be completely down on yourself. And you're going to get stuck. And that's not what we want. So the number 5 thing that you guys can start doing to get over this imposter syndrome is to learn to make progress instead of being perfect. Okay. As women, We are praised on perfection, right? We're taught from a young age that we should look perfect, that we should be perfect. We have to be the perfect housewife, be the perfect lover, be the perfect mom, okay? Have you guys seen The Marvelous Miss Maisie? Mrs. Maisie, I should say, okay? If you haven't, check it out. It's awesome. Love the series. Can't wait for season 3 to come out. She is just absolutely adorable and hilarious. But if you have seen it, you're going to know what I'm talking about. There is this scene in the first episode where she goes to bed, okay? She has all her makeup on, her hair's done, she changes her clothes into her nice little, set in the 50s, so she gets her little nightgown on. And she goes and lays her hair perfectly and lays down. Once her husband falls asleep, you know what she does? She gets up, goes in the bathroom, takes all of her makeup off, puts on a face mask, fixes her hair, pulls it back, ties a thing around it to keep it tight, puts her curlers in, all that 9 yards, and goes back to bed. Then what's she do in the morning? She sets her alarm and gets up before, actually I'm lying, she didn't set an alarm. She cracked her window just enough that when the sun came in, it would only go to her eyes and not reach to his side of the bed. So it would wake her up. And she'd hurry up, get up, go in the bathroom, put on her whole face of makeup, get her hair done, and then she'd go back and lay in bed. Perfect. And then when she woke up, her husband never knew anything different, right? Because she was taught that she had to look perfect. In order to have a man, she had to look perfect. And as the season goes on, eventually you see her mom do the same exact thing. So you see where she got it from, right? And I don't want to give away too much in case you haven't seen it and you want to watch it. But the mom does just put so much pressure on her being the perfect woman, the perfect daughter. And it just kind of reminded me of all this. I mean, yeah, I think we've made a lot of leaps and bounds in that regard over the past 50 years, but there's still a lot of pressure on women to be perfect. And rather than it coming from our families, a lot of it comes from the media. And this sense of we have to be perfect just continues, right? It just is a domino effect into our adult life, and it makes us just crave the attention of being perfect. Then we start to believe that if we mess up in any way, that we're letting people down with our lack of perfectionism. This is the truth though. Perfectionism only breeds insecurity because nobody is perfect. Everyone has something that they struggle with. Everyone has some area that they can improve. And nobody looks perfect, okay? Whatever that perfect even means, because we're all made differently. We're all built differently. And ironically, that's the beauty in it all, right? The beauty of life is that we are all different and that we're not perfect, that we have these quirks and these unique things about us that make us human, make us who we are. So we have to stop focusing on being perfect at everything and try to shift that mindset to start to focus on making progress on some things. Okay, we'll do a little bit at a time. Learning to focus on making progress and seeing the opportunity in the situation is going to help to dissolve that feeling that we have to be perfect. Okay, so that about wraps it up. Those are the 5 things that you guys can start doing right away to get over this imposter syndrome, because I know you're feeling it. So just to recap the 5 steps, I want you to start becoming aware, okay, which we did today. We brought awareness to the issue, okay, but you have to remind yourself and stay aware of it on a daily basis. Number 2, change your view on failure to one of opportunity, okay? Look at it as a learning experience, as an experience for you to grow and to change instead of you failing at something, okay? Number 3, I want you to start taking a damn compliment when it's given to you. Say thank you. Just say thank you and smile. It's going to make you feel good. It's going to make that person feel good. And it's going to help you get over your imposter syndrome. Number 4, stop comparing yourself to others. You're not them. They're not you. You guys are on 2 different journeys. Just don't compare yourself, because all you're doing is breeding your insecurity and just making it worse. And then last but not least, number 5, learn to make progress over perfection. Stop worrying so much about trying to be perfect and just try to be better than you were yesterday, right? That's really the goal in life, right? We only have today. So we can't worry about tomorrow or the future. All we can worry about is this day that we have in front of us and making sure that we are a better person than we were yesterday. So I hope you guys got a lot out of this video. Drop a comment below. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions, if you want to discuss anything, and I will talk to you guys next time.